Hi there, everybody. My name is Kevin Sylvester. I am an author and an illustrator. You can see some of my books in behind me. I'm sitting up in my studio, my messy attic studio right now. I love Halloween, and I'm very happy to have been asked by Vaughan Public Libraries to come and talk a little bit about some scary stories. Halloween's a huge event at our house. We decorate our porch every year. Usually there's a theme like Doctor Who or a haunted classroom, or I even dressed myself up once last year, I guess I dressed a pumpkin to look like me wearing this I Read Canadian shirt. So I love Halloween, and I love scary stories, and I love stories about monsters. I even write books about monsters, like Super Duper Monster Viewer. Wait, that's this one over here? Or Gargantua Jr. But I also like scary stories. And in fact, if you've read the Fabulous Zed Watson, which is a book that I wrote with my kid Basil, it's this one here. It's all about this kid, Fabulous Zed Watson, who is non-binary and loves stories about monsters. There's a monster story at the heart of that book, which is that they have discovered the story of a book that was never published called The Monster's Castle, possibly the greatest monster book ever written, and Zed wants to find it. Now, the author buried it, like they literally buried it, but they left behind some clues on how you could find it and all the money that was buried along with the book, $100,000. Not too bad. And so Zed, in that book, along with their friend Gabe, they think they may have cracked this code, and it involves going on a road trip trying to uncover the stories of monsters such as vampires and werewolves and witches and zombies. And if you want to find out whether they do that, you have to read the book. But I also wanted to mention that book because I'm going to give you a very quick sneak preview. Basil and I right now are writing the sequel, which is Night of the Living Zed. At least that's the working title. We'll see if that holds up. And I'll even show you a little sketch, and you can see that it's Halloween themed. Zed and Gabe are heading off to a haunted house. And this is Gabe's sister, Sam, who is driving them. And Zed loves vampires and is dressed up like a vampire for Halloween, trying to scare Sam, while she's driving the car. Probably not a very good idea. But anyway, there you go. I love haunted house stories so much, and so does Basil. We're actually writing a haunted house story with Zed Watson and Gabe. But I thought I'd do a different kind of haunted house story reading for you. More of a haunted building reading, I guess. It's from my new book, which is called Apartment 713. So I'm going to do a very short reading from this one. What happens is that a kid named Jake Simmons has to move into this dilapidated old apartment building. And he doesn't like it. It's a dump. His mom has lost her job, so Jake and she feel like they're trapped here. He's had to give up all the cool stuff that he had back home when they lived in the suburbs. He hates it. But he also can't stand just sitting around his apartment all the time, so he starts to walk around the hallways, and he discovers all these weird secret things, like animals that are carved into the walls that are hiding things. You have to read the book to figure out some of the things they're hiding, like an elevator and a garbage chute and all this sort of stuff. And he meets the weird people who live there, and he kind of falls in love with them. And he learns as he goes along that, heck, you know what? This is actually a pretty cool building. I don't mind living here so much. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Now, he's told one thing, though. You cannot go into apartment 713. You can't open the door. You're not really allowed in there. Do not go inside. Then one day, Jake finds out that the building that he's starting to fall in love with, the Regency, is about to be torn down. And he gets a call. He's helping out the superintendent, and he gets a call on the little buzzer. A light shines for apartment 713. What's he going to do? Well, he has to go up. What if somebody needs help? He runs up to apartment 713, and this is what happens next. He leaned an ear against the wood. It felt warm. His toes felt warm, too. Jake looked down. A weak strip of yellowish light now snuck out from underneath, and it spread bit by bit across the floor and up the door. "This is weird," Jake whispered. He called for Danny, the superintendent, again, but there was no answer. What should he do? Suddenly, from inside apartment 713, there was a loud crash and a cry of, "Help! Oh, help me! Help!" Someone needed something. Jake had to see who it was and what that was. He jammed the key into the lock and he turned it. The door swung open, pulling Jake along with it. He stumbled onto a carpeted floor as the door slammed shut behind him. Oh no, he'd left the keys in the lock. He reached back and grabbed the doorknob. He pulled and pulled, but it refused to open. An even louder scream from deep inside the apartment made the hairs on his neck stand up. He'd made a terrible mistake. He thought he could help, but now he was trapped. "Jake, you doofus," he said to himself. Then he heard footsteps. He didn't dare turn around. The door refused to open. Danny had told him not to go into apartment 713, and he was about to find out the horrible reason why. And you're going to have to read it to find out what happens next. So everybody have a great Halloween. Carve pumpkins, go crazy, dress up as anything you want to dress up as, and read great and scary books. Thanks, everybody.